This week I've been going full steam ahead with all kinds of projects around here. I had the perfect weather window to do a lot of the pasture restoration. Part of that project is letting the horses graze some areas around the house. They trim up the long grass, aerate the ground, and also leave fertilizer everywhere they go.
Boys, good boys, like a seed one. Honey, I didn't even see you, girl. Good girl, Tiny.
I always find myself picking up little odds and ends, but it's nice to have the majority of the horses out on fresh grass while I'm working the day away. Since Goose has already made himself quite familiar with this area around the old homestead building, I did put up a little fence, and both him and Whiplash have been enjoying grazing all of the new grass. The big group of boys, which includes Pete, Big Gus, Little Gus, Stewie, and Studman, have been going around our house. The two groups makes it a bit easier to manage, and they don't get too rambunctious. Right now, everybody is preoccupied with getting all of the best green morsels they can find. There are several different kinds of grass growing out in my hugelkultur bed experiment. Initially, I was just going to terminate this to make it part of the soil, but I figured I might as well have the horses eat it. When we first moved here, I unrealistically thought that I would have the pastures ready by now.
Lucy.
I'm finally starting to come to terms with the fact that all of the big projects I have going on around here are probably going to take a lot longer than I anticipated. With Bruce now being almost a month old, he's starting to get a bit more curious and was really excited to see all of the other horses turned out. He has a completely different whinny when he tries to get the attention of the other horses. Prim, for the most part, is still pretty unbothered by all of the things this little guy does. I had anticipated her getting a little bit stir-crazy being in a smaller pen, but it seems as though she likes the comfort of having Bruce very close so she can keep an eye on him. I think out of all of the boys, the one who's most interested in Bruce is Pete. While all the other horses were enjoying the grass, he spent a good deal of time just staring at Bruce, checking him out. Letting the horses graze. Our front yard is not a permanent solution, but it is one of the areas where the grass does grow pretty quickly. Even if they're not out on it 24/7, it still allows them to get out of their dry lot, stretch their legs, and get some really tasty snacks of the grass. My haystack has been looking pretty grim lately, and it looks like today I am going to be able to go pick up a few loads of new hay. I'm pretty excited about it. I'll be interested to hear from the producer how the output is looking for this year. The prices have gone up, but that is definitely to be expected with the year that we've had down here. I'm just hoping that there's going to be enough available to get me through to second cutting. I'm not very familiar with the typical haying schedule around here, so I have to do a little bit of troubleshooting as I plan for my hay.
Good boy. Here, good boy. Go, Prim.
In between all of the really big jobs around here, I do take breaks multiple times a day now to teach Bruce a few things he's going to need to know to get a halter on. In this past week, he's gotten so much better about not nibbling on me. He's starting to get a much better idea of the boundaries that there are when dealing with humans versus horses. Prim is feeling a lot more comfortable with letting this little guy interact with Ziggy and Scarlet through the fence. He's getting a lot more itchy these days, and I think he's about to lose his full coat.
What's going on?
A few days ago, I did try and pull out a few mane hairs to send in so I could get his DNA tested. This is something that he needs to get registered, and I'm also really curious as to genetically what his coat color will be. Sometimes you can use the superfine baby hair to send in for a DNA test, but I just was not able to pull enough strands out for this little dude. He also really did not like it, and now he is a little bit weary of me touching or scratching him around his mane area. Both Prim and Wicked Pretty are registered in the American Quarter Horse Association, so this little dude will be as well. Because of his breeding, he is also eligible for 2 different foundation quarter horse associations. They have a little bit stricter requirements of the percentage of foundation lines in the pedigree that makes them qualify for registration.
You got something in your ear?
I've been busting my butt lately to try and get rid of all of the cheatgrass before it goes to seed again. But it looks like Ivar got something stuck in his ear, and upon closer inspection, he did have a seed in there that I had to pull out. With Bruce's full coat starting to shed, he has gotten extra itchy these days. While he doesn't appreciate me scratching his mane so much anymore, he loves it when I get in his little booty. He's looking a little bit mealy these days with all of his hair starting to fall out. I'm guessing in a week or 2 he is not going to look so great because his hair is coming in much darker underneath his full coat. A few of you spied in some recent shorts that his eyes are changing color as well. Prim has light brown eyes, and I'm thinking that after a few months that is what this guy's eyes will turn out looking like. I've had a lot of people ask me about turnout for this little dude. And while I would love to see him galloping around the pasture, he still is a little bit contracted in those tendons. At this age, proper management is really important for future soundness. His tendons are contracted a teeny tiny little bit, but if he were to get out on the pasture and romp around and stretch them, it would cause him a little bit more pain, and then he would walk different and he would probably start getting more contracted. So it's important that he is confined into a smaller space. It's nice having him right up close to me because I can keep an eye on him while I'm doing projects throughout the day. And my gardening is in full swing.
Ah, hey little buddy. Hi, Ragnar.
With my pasture restoration project probably going to take several years, not several months, I've tried to focus on things that I can get accomplished in a rather short time period. Typically, I like to operate with a significant amount of chaos. Here recently, I've been trying much harder to finish projects that I start, so I'm not leaving messes all around our property. One thing I've been really excited to get done is putting in a little patch of zinnias. While it'll be really nice to eat a few vegetables from the garden, I'll really enjoy looking out here and seeing tons of flowers sprouting up. I thought it would be much easier to put everything in the garden before I put the fence up, and I'm thinking I'm gonna have to get that up sooner rather than later because Huckleberry is a little bit of a terror in the garden. I went a little bit overboard with the plants this spring, and I've gotten most of them planted out. I left 2 spots to put in some more classical raised beds for vegetables, but right now I'm doing in-ground. It's taken me a little bit of extra effort to water everything in, but I'll eventually have some drip lines so I can conserve water. In addition to the vegetables, I did plant a border of different kinds of flowers around the edges. It should end up falling right inside the fence line, and it'll be really pretty to look at once everything starts blooming.
Hello. How is your mom? Ooh, little muscle man. Oh, smile. See those teeth? It's a good boy. See, don't need to cry. Oh, so cute, boy. So cute. Oh, you are dirty.
I'm not sure
dirty.
when these two will get turned out
think you're
into a
growing.
bigger pasture. Bruce has been
Nice
growing at a
boy.
pretty quick pace, and I think that is part of his actual
boy.
problem. While his genetics have got him these
shiny,
gigantic muscles already, there is a part of it that is nutrition based. I typically don't like to feed my horses a ton of hard feed. I did want to make sure this little guy was getting everything he needed, and Prim was able to provide enough milk for him, so she was on a pretty high amount of a foal feed. Because of Bruce's impressive growth rate, I am gonna cut her feed back. Part of his problem could be that he's just getting too much nutrition and growing too fast.
Lift your big old belly. Does scum out of your eyes?
Even with all of her turnout every day, Sparkler is still looking a little bit round in the midsection. The hay I was able to pick up is a orchard grass mix, and it should be perfect to switch over Prim and also Sparkler.
Oh, shit.
Last week I was feeling really optimistic about the pasture and my ability to get it rejuvenated and the horses out on it. Unfortunately, after irrigating for quite a while now, the only thing that is growing is the field bindweed. I was going to try really hard not to spray anything around here, but it's looking like if I want grass to grow, I'm going to have to try and eradicate some of that weed. It grows extremely fast when irrigated, and it is covering up most of the dry land now. I'm still probably only going to spot spray the worst parts. I am also on the list for a biological control, which is just a little bug that eats the bindweed. I'm not sure if I'll be on the list for this year or next year, but as a long-term plan to control this weed, it is probably the best bet.
Hey, Ruthie. So cute.
I already started cutting Prim's hard feed down last week, and she's not too excited about it. She was getting about
Hey, you Snoopy.
9 to 12 pounds of
Snoop
hard
my
feed a
handler.
day, and now she's down to about 6. She's in a pretty good weight right now, and I think if I slowly switch her over to her regular ration balancer and a mixture of grass and alfalfa hay, that she'll do pretty well. Hopefully that switch will be a positive one as far as Bruce's legs are concerned. Since Bruce has been able to keep his nipping at a minimum, I've started training him a little bit more in skills he's going to need in his future. Before, I was just handling him inside the stall, and now we've moved out into a more open area. With Ivar's help, he's gotten brave enough to leave Prim while she's eating her meals throughout the day, giving me the perfect opportunity to put some training on him while he doesn't even realize it. Bruce still has trouble controlling his excitement, but he has proven to be very smart. When he is able to rein in his exuberance, he has gotten pretty good at standing still while I handle him and teach him new things. For now, if he wants to run away from me, that is totally fine. It's all part of his training. With his full coat coming out, he is much more itchy than usual. Generally, he does not try and nip me too much anymore, but he does try and wiggle his little muzzle on me for mutual grooming now. I'm using these scratches as a reward for other things that he may not enjoy as much. For some reason, Ivar is very interested in Bruce, and he has been trying his hardest to become best buds with him. I do get a little bit worried about Ivar around the horses because it really doesn't take much to hurt a cat. Tiny is much more wary of new horses, but Ivar doesn't seem to be as scared of them. He is much more cautious around Prim than he is around Bruce. He generally only comes in their pen if they're being pretty calm. I do think that Prim is really enjoying having me babysit Bruce for a few minutes every day. She's able to eat what's left of her half feed in peace, and Bruce is able to get some training.
I'm just looking.
Recently, she's gotten a little bit sassy about letting him nurse, but I think it is because he is pretty rambunctious about it still. I've gotten a little bit of flack on some of my shorts about how I should have already had a halter on baby Bruce. While it is a lot easier to manhandle them and slap a halter on them when they're just a few days or weeks old, it is really important to me that my horses play an active role in their training. While it would be nice to have a halter on him and for him to understand everything about being led around, I am far more interested in developing his little mind. At the end of his training, I want him to remain calm, curious, smart, and outgoing. I don't want him to become too dull from being pulled around. I'm not training him to send him on to another home. I'm training him for me. This little dude can get quite spicy at times, but it's important to me that he keeps all of his extra sparkle. All of the tiny little things I've been teaching him added up are going to make a big difference in his future as a riding horse. It may not look like it to some people, but Bruce is probably more broke than a horse you could put a halter on and lead around. At this stage in his training, he is definitely acting like a horse that has a double swirl. Most of the time, he is calm, cool, and collected. But every once in a while, he gets a burst of excitement that he is not able to contain. I think it is really important for baby horses to be able to be baby horses even if they're getting training.
You had your chance, mister. You're too crazy.
I do still set aside a little bit of time at the end of the day to work with Bruce, but some days he is just too rambunctious to get any learning done.
Come on, Brucey. Come on, Brucey.
After a long, hard day of doing chores out in the field and cooking in the hot sun, it's nice to just sit in his pen. Even if Bruce is too distracted to come over, Ivar is always interested in a few extra scratches. He's gotten pretty darn friendly, but he still doesn't really like it if I pick him up.
It's okay, it's all right. Okay. Come on, Brucey.
Foals generally like to stay very close to their mother, and it's been interesting to see how brave Bruce has gotten over the last week. Sometimes I'm able to peel him away from Prim and get him to come over for some little tiny sessions of training. We're talking little 2 to 3 minute stints that added up make a huge difference.
Take your muscles somewhere else. Want me to brush you?
If Bruce ever gets too nippy, I just remove myself from the situation, and I think he's finally figured that out. If he wants me to scratch him, he's going to have to behave.
He's a nice boy.
This is a really important thing for a young horse to learn, and you can do it completely free of any kind of restraint. That doesn't mean that every once in a while Bruce doesn't try and get me to play with him. He is definitely more respectful of the radius he needs to keep when he is jumping and bucking around. If he gets a little bit too
worms
close,
in your
I either
butt?
clap my hands or stomp my feet to
Let me
let him
see.
know that he is not allowed to get
I'm
any
just looking.
closer. These boundaries are pretty important, and it's good to get a handle on them early on. Since I'm planning on having this guy be a little working cow horse, it's important
be
that he's
greedy.
able to use his brain and make some decisions on his own with no input from me.
That's a good boy.
These little brain games when he's a tiny baby are going to serve him very well later in life. Every day I'm slowly chipping away at him, and pretty soon I should be able to do all of his basic handling at liberty. I can already pick up 3 out of his 4 feet without him moving around. I'm probably not going to introduce him to an actual halter until he can stand still for all of that. He's getting closer, but he's not quite there yet.
Hi.
When it starts cooling down at night, he does get little bursts of energy. If he was haltered for this, it would be a real struggle to keep him contained. It may look like I'm just letting him completely run amok, but I think it's important for him to be allowed to get out this extra energy in a safe way. After practicing a few rollbacks on the fence line, Prim has definitely had enough of his shenanigans. Some evenings our sessions are 5 minutes long, and sometimes he is able to control his excitement for a whole 15 minutes. When the sun goes down, I do put them in their stalls for the night just to keep them safe. Spending this evening quality time with Bruce does make it a little bit easier to get through a long day. Usually in the morning, this little dude is excited to get back out and run around to stretch out those legs again.
Ready to go out? Good baby Lucy. Let's get to smile some big old teeth. Oh, Lucy.
We've had a few uninvited guests the last week. It started off with the neighbor's cows in the middle of the night. A few days ago, a bunch of horses were loose on the road that I corralled onto the property. While the boys have been able to keep the shenanigans to a minimum, there's always something exciting going on around here.
Come on. Boys. Stewie.
With all of my timelines for the big projects like pasture restoration and fencing being pushed back, lately I've been getting the urge to just ride the horses and let the rest of this figure itself out. I've got enough hay in the barn to last me until a second cutting, and there are a few isolated patches of really good grass for the horses to graze. From here on out, I'm going to try and film less chores and more interactions with just the horses. If you guys are not already subscribed, make sure you do that so you do not miss any future videos. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.